Welcome to Life in the Music Business, a masterclass with Professor Pooch and your host, BACEFACE.
Hey, how's it going, guys? And welcome back to Life in the Music Business with Professor Pooch.
I have this saying, it's one of those, I call it periodic reminders. And it's basically, when's the last time you backed up your computer? And my next line is always, well, if you have to think about it, it's way too long ago.
Yep. I back mine up a lot.
Oh, can we tell horror stories from that? I cover the Philadelphia recording community. And, you know, we have all the studios and people were getting on, some of the artists were getting on complaining about the studios losing their stuff, and the studios saying, well, the artist should, and I always say this, folks, anybody, keep your bills, keep everything paid up, and carry, if you're a client, into a studio. Keep everything, paid up to date so that at the end of the session, you could take home with you. You're going to bring a terabyte USB drive. They're real cheap nowadays. What are they, $70 or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, bring it with, get all the files. There's no excuse. Things happen. Like your electricity went out last night. Okay. I mean, things happen. And sometimes if there's weird surges or something like that, you could blow a hard drive, which I've done. I've blown 3 hard drives in the last 30 years, which is not too bad. And I always keep 2 hard drives internally in my computer. I got a tower. And I keep 2 in there, one for the programs, in case there's viruses or anything like that. It's on the program side. It's not screwing up with my files. And then I still have an external, I was going to say terrestrial, interterrestrial being, No, you know what I mean. Terabyte hard drive for backup. And I also use, a cloud service. And everybody's offering cloud service. That's a big thing. And then you use it and they say, well, you need more room. So that's when they start charging you and it goes up. But everybody has stuff. I've seen, oh my God, I've run into musicians who had a whole new album they worked out. It's all in the computer and the computer crushed.
Yeah, you need to, they always say that you need to have at least, I think it's 3 is 2, 2 is 1, and 1 is none. Because if you don't have a backup of the backup, then.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've heard that. That's funny. I used to have, when I had my studio up here, I was using an emulator too as my workstation, computer workstation. Well, it had floppy disks and stuff. I had to sign up several places in my studio here that said, have you been saved? And people got a kick out of it. But seriously, I don't remember, you have to keep backing up stuff. Even after God, if you're recording something and you think it's a really good take, back it up right then. If I'm doing anything important, it could be a meeting. I do them immediately when I have clients, when I record them for this stuff. Immediately, I mix it down, so it's just what needs to be said and stuff. And then I put it right on the cloud before anything can happen. As you know, you've worked on my computer BACEFACE. Luckily, thankfully, you exist on that stuff because I'm lost. I don't know my original thing. Yep. And people say, what kind of computer you have? I don't know. It's parts. My son put it together, but my computer's 10 years old. Yeah, it's got new stuff in it, but it's been around for a while. But yeah, I don't want to have to ever replace it, totally. Crazy. Oh boy. But yeah, that's a real important thing, folks, is definitely, but anytime you do something really important, especially studio stuff, always back it up right away. But anything else important, I mean, God, at least once a week. Oh my God, people have lost years of stuff. I can't believe it. Hard drives die. You'll hear clickety, 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 or it just starts missing stuff. it can get pretty bad. So that's a very important thing. That's one of my periodic reminders I have to put up for everybody. And let's see, other periodic ones that I put up. Yeah, well, there's periodic music business ones I always put up, like, making is 1/3 talent, 1/3 luck, and 1/3 persistence. And some of what we were talking about before fit right into it. You're being persistent, people are coming to you.
Yeah.
And it's just so important. And so if it's 1/3 talent, 1/3 luck, and 1/3 persistence, you make your own luck by being persistent. You have a better chance of being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, exactly. And people don't understand how important taking that action is, because then you're able to like create your own opportunities from just just working so hard towards something that it's just like the universe sees your energy that you're putting out and how determined you are. And then that's how opportunities are created. They don't just come out of thin air.
And what people will find out, what you said verbatim is very accurate. When don't worry about that goal that's a little scary you're trying to reach. Just start going towards it. The universe listens. And if you want it bad enough, the opportunities will be there. But if you don't take advantage of the opportunities, well, shame on you.
Yeah, that's another thing too. I mean, even I've been guilty of that, where I just,
There's always times.
life gets ahead of you.
I've some embarrassing ones, but go ahead.
Life gets ahead of you sometimes, and you just kind of lose track of time. Before you know it, 6 months, and you're like, wow, I should have done this, I should have done that. But now then you keep moving.
My thing is, look, if you ever get upset, I missed this or I didn't do it, you got five minutes. I give everybody 5 minutes to feel bad. But okay, it's past tense now. What are you doing now? You learned something from it. What did you learn? We all make mistakes, and some mistakes I made turned out to be, I'm glad I didn't do something. I just wouldn't have been happy, and I would have been screwed. And I learned, I was being very wary around that time when certain people wanted me to sign these major things. And I just didn't follow through on them. I didn't know enough about the topics, especially with publishing and things and stuff those days. God, we're talking 45 years ago. I don't remember. It's another lifetime. There's an old joke, by the way. There's an old joke that's, if you remember the 60s, you weren't there. And you have to think about that, but people from the 60s know exactly what you're talking about. Do you know there's a true fact? Through the years, at least 100 people said they saw me at Woodstock.
Oh my Lord.
And the funny part was, I wasn't there. Okay. I was performing somewhere else that week. I don't remember. I mean, it's 69. I mean, but I was just starting out then and stuff like that. But, oh, wow. But I wouldn't have been able to handle, I'm not good with that size crowds. I mean, God bless people that can, but I'm not that kind of person. I probably wouldn't have been very comfortable, shall I say.
I honestly feel more alive on stage than I do anywhere else. I mean, I love big crowds. That's like my favorite thing, especially.
And that says a lot about you. And you just answered that goals. Who are you? What are you about? That's where you want to be. You're going to find a way to be there in one way or another.
Of course. And I mean, I do this every day. So it's just a matter of just continuing to go through the process and enjoy the journey.
Oh yeah. And that's what people don't understand. They only think about the destination. Well, you got a journey to get to the destination. I mean, you take a few steps, and you got to just enjoy the journey, live it, experience it, And by the way, if you see me swatting around, for some reason, it's the middle of winter, and there's this fly in here. It's driving me crazy. You see me going,
yeah.
The fly, I don't know. We always have one fly, and it must be he's a super fly or something. He lives through the winter. They don't live that long. It's either that or it's his brother. Okay, yeah. There's a lot of these kinds of sayings that people, by the way, they're taken from. A lot of my sayings are in the God Didn't Create Alarm Clocks book, which has my things of, it's basically about staying sane, especially through COVID. It's perfect for now. But it's basically being an entrepreneur, any form of arts, music, film, or whatever creative thing, where you learn about yourself, you learn about why other people are the way they are when you're trying to deal with them. And there's a business and legal end, but it's all simple language, just like we talk right here. And I have these different sayings and stuff, and that I've accumulated through the years. And, that's one thing about it. Experience and living for a certain amount of years, you start building up catalogs of different things. I mean, what most of us want is a catalog of songs, but I also have a catalog of thoughts and ideas that make people's lives a little more sane.
Tell them about how you came up with the name for God Didn't Create Alarm Clocks.
That I'm going to tell you. I've told people about it. I don't know. I was in the bathroom in my office bathroom, because I sit out there. There's a window looking out over the back. It's a nice view. And all of a sudden, God Didn't Create Alarm Clocks came out of the universe somewhere. And it was like, I didn't create alarm clocks. And the funny part is, I do have a little section in the book on it. And there's 5 different reasons for that title, which I didn't know about, but the universe kind of said, my mind must have been clear. I'm just looking at the nature and stuff. And they said, that's your title. And I was thinking, what do I want to call my book after? No, that's your title. I had no choice. So I just going with the flow. But let's talk about that. That's a whole subject in itself. God didn't create alarm clocks. Well, first of all, the real thinking of it, if you think back about it, the school systems nowadays, everything, your businesses, your jobs, it's all, you got to have an alarm clock. You got to wake up. It's all part of the industrial age, which started hundreds of years ago when they started jobs and this and that. There was no such thing really as entrepreneurs, very few of any type, And you follow the alarm clock, you get up and man, and my thing is, God didn't create alarm clocks. I believe that we were meant to go to sleep when we're tired and wake up when we're not. At the same point in time, being an entrepreneur means you're awake all times. Sometimes it's in the middle of the night, which I love to work. Sometimes it's in the afternoon, sometimes in the morning, sometimes it's all 3. You go a couple of days, but that's what entrepreneurism is about. You do what has to be done for your benefit and to benefit other people with whatever your product or project or whatever is going on. But this whole thing with the God didn't create alarm clocks, I mean, we shouldn't have to live by alarm clocks and stuff like that. And a funny one, I even put in the book, but people say, now, wait a minute, Pooch, we have to get up. We have children, and the children have to go to school. And I said, whoa, stop right there. You mean you're not homeschooling them? They shouldn't be put under that indoctrination. I think I mentioned in one of the episodes, or maybe it was just you on the side, but they did when they conducted this lab test with 1,600 children between the ages of 4 and 5, and they gave them a creative test on their creativity IQ. Most of them, like 98% of them, had amazing creativity. They did the same 1,600 at 10 years of age. I think they did it 5 and 10, but 10 years of age. By that point, they had 18% creativity. I think at 5 years it was 30, not 5 years. In 5 years after 4, 5, 10, I guess, or 10 years of age, they had about 30%. And it went down because the teachers, everybody, they don't want you being creative. And they're taking all the arts out of the school. When they're budget cutting, that's the first thing that leaves is arts and stuff. I mean, when I went to school, they were even giving us instrument lessons, but it's a century ago, of course. But
Yeah, it's interesting. That's how actually started playing instruments is by taking I started taking piano lessons, but then I started playing saxophone in school, and they used to have lessons. I used to be in the band,
yeah,
all that stuff, and it's a
they
shame.
would get a half hour off or an hour off from class. It was great.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
before.
Yeah, that's really why I did it, and I loved the saxophone at the time, and I haven't picked it up since, believe it or not. But it might be something I do in the near future.
But hey, I saw Garth Brooks. I mean, he's a guitarist basically. But he had a sax in his thing, and he had to do a show, and he decided to teach himself how to play the sax, and he played the sax, as a solo.
Wow.
Hey, why not, man? My thing is learn all kinds of things. We were talking earlier today. I don't know what shows up in the script here about the knowing how to do different things. It's just super useful. But funny how I got started in music. Uh, my fourth grade teacher went to my mother and said, "Get him to take an instrument." And what she said was, and something I could do, I don't understand it. I never saw music notes in a book before, and I could sight read them musically.
Wow.
And I just figured, oh, well, maybe I was Beethoven in a former life or Bach, or I could have been Hitler. Right? Well, I couldn't have been Hitler, but somebody way back. You just never know. And yeah, it's funny. So the alarm clocks. Yeah, we're getting way off the topic, but that's normal for us. But that's cool. Um, but yeah, I mean, folks, when you're an entrepreneur, it there's a lot of effort, and a lot of times I mean, I do have to set an alarm clock sometimes if I have an appointment, of course. I don't want to leave a client down. But yeah, so the names sound good because this is the digital age. It's not the industrial age anymore. It's time to up, the schooling, what they're teaching people instead of, stop looking outside the window, stop daydreaming, they don't, man, kids need to daydream. They have all this creativity. They're born so creative. And then they lose it in school, and parents, do this now, do that, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, ever since I was a kid in school, I kind of had that same problem. Some may call it ADHD, or some may call it whatever, but I just love doodling, and I would never really pay attention. I would still get like pretty decent grades, but I just enjoyed actually going in, just messing around. That's how.
Well, yeah, believe me, I know from when we are able to get together in person. I mean, you definitely have at least ADD, okay? Because I know, because I got it. But everybody's got it now, folks. That's why these are important things to think about. People have very short attention span. In music, you got to get right to the chorus, or 7 seconds in, right to the meat of the song. You got to gain their attention. You can't do long paragraphs. You got to give bullet points to people. Otherwise, you're going to ignore it. It's just overload. There's just too much happening with technology and stuff.
Yeah, but it's also helping too. I mean, there's a lot of positives about it too. I mean,
Oh,
people
yeah.
are able to do a lot more than they ever were in the history of the world. So there's some positives too, but at the same time, I mean, the negatives are that
Everything.
people rely on it as the reality.
The point is that everything, as you'll find out in life, has an opposite. With every good, there's a bad, and with every bad, there's a good. The good thing is people are learning how to use computers and do all these things to get information and helpful and stuff like that. But the bad is you're missing out on life. Of getting out there, and of course it's really hard with the virus and stuff. But we could. I'll go out with my wife, and we'll go out and to the park
Yeah, and it's
on
actually
a weekday. you know.
that's actually amazing. I mean, I don't think I've actually done that in I don't even know how
Well,
long.
she drags me out. Matter of fact, what's really funny, I bought myself a little present because I realized I've been really bad at something. And this bad at something thing, I bet a lot of people during COVID, a problem that's coming up. And that is, I bought myself a pedometer that measures your steps. because I know I sit behind a computer so many hours of the day. You know, I could never do it all on the phone, that's for sure. I sit behind, you know, I have a big monitor. And the point is I'm not moving around enough. The most exercise I usually get is my cat leading me down to be fed on the first floor or to be let out or something like that. So I do go up 3 flights of steps, but I'm looking at the steps I'm making. They say, you know, you should be doing 10,000 steps a day. Okay. And man, I ain't reaching 1,000. I got to do something about it. I know part of it's the COVID and I'm inside.
Yeah, I was even going to the gym, believe it or not. I mean, I was going to the gym wearing a mask and running on the treadmill and working out and all that stuff to get myself back into shape. COVID kind of did a number on me, but the thing is,
You know what I would do if I were you, and it's become very popular, just like a lot of people lost a lot of money like gyms. Peloton and all those companies that are making these home gym kind of things. Man, you got enough room there. Put it in one of your rooms.
oh yeah, of course, yeah, I have a decent amount of space here, and I'm
That's
looking
what I'm
forward.
saying. That'd be great for you because, you know, you find yourself sitting too long. By the way, here's a thing that is helpful. That will help a lot of people get whatever, is just learn to rub your hands together, okay, and take at least 3, if not 10, deep breaths. Hold it for a second, you know, pause, exhale all the way down so your stomach's almost reaching your spine, and then inhale again. And you're going to find out you're going to have some nice relaxed energy. There's good energy and bad energy, not nervous energy. It'll relax you too. But the point is, most people, if you notice, you're sitting at a thing, you're not breathing hard enough and you get a bunch of stale air. It's like you have a good car and you're using really bad gasoline, you know. So this is your fuel, is your air. And you got to remember, I have a sign up on my wall to remind me, breathe deeply, because I catch myself just breathing shallow. And you're getting a lot of stale air inside. If you get more air, it's going to help your blood flow. It's also, your brain will work much better.
It's actually interesting to point out too that when you try to breathe in like that, it also helps if you push your stomach out when you breathe in, so you get your full lung capacity, and you're able to really extend your belly out so that you can really get full whole.
No, you're right. And if people think that looks odd, take a look at any baby. Look how they breathe. We're taught to breathe differently. Babies let their whole stomach out. And what I always tell people, yeah, let it out, you're right. And also in towards your spine, just don't hurt yourself either way. It's not meant to hurt you, but it makes you get some deep breaths. And if you just slowly take breaths, don't stop at the top, just pause for like, you know, as many seconds as you want. And then just exhale through your mouth and then hold it a little at the bottom. By the way, you're going to find out something interesting. When you're holding your breath at the top, you could be upset at something or mad at something. You're not going to be able to think about it. When you're holding your breath, if you're ever in a bad mood or whatever, take a deep breath, hold your breath for a few, and you'll notice, what was I thinking about? Or because your mind is on holding your breath.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's the one thing you taught me.
The brain, that's it. We were talking about the other day. See, the brain is an amazing computer. It remembers everything your whole life. It's just an amazing thing. And you can reprogram your computer. And I mean, oh, you were talking the other day and the 30 days to make it a habit, if you want to make something a habit. Well, the reason where the 30 days come from, even though some people say 28, some people say 66 up to, depending on what it is. NASA, NASA, you know, the space people, they gave these astronauts years ago this test. What they did was they gave them a pair of concave convex glasses. So then when they put them on their face, it turned everything upside down. Okay, so you saw the room upside down when you had these on. And they were not, the astronauts were not allowed to remove them even when they were sleeping. But starting in the 28th day, the brain was turning it around to the right direction. And they found that. Then they tried this. They had it for 15 days with some of them. Some of them, they just went straight through. Some with 15 days, they had them just take it off for a day. Those people had to start those 30 days all over again. Because what people don't understand, you don't see with your eyes. You see with your brain. The eyes just bring the signal in, but your brain is what's seeing things. And you can reprogram your brain. And there's proof, I mean, that you can turn something upside up, right side up.
It's amazing. And it's super powerful. You're able to do a lot with it if you're able to utilize it and basically focus in on what you need done.
Yeah, what was, matter of fact, I put it up there earlier this month. I usually do it once a year or stuff because everybody screws up their New Year's resolutions. Everybody says, well, this year, starting January 1st, I'm not going to eat these bad things. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. And it lasts for 2 to 3 days, and all of a sudden they slip. And that's it. They give up for the year. My thing is use this program that we were just talking about. My thing is take one thing, focus on one thing, and you cannot get off that for 30 days. In other words, you cannot break this rule for 30 days. You can't cheat even once. At the end of 30 days, hopefully, sometimes it's a little longer, sometimes a little less, you'll find you're doing things by habit. And that's where you want to get to. Then the next month, take a second thing and do that. In other words, focus it. And I find that out a lot of times. By the way, I even tried some things where I put things on record, on a recording, and depending on which century I was in, that whether it was a cassette or CD or whatever, or digital, I would put things that would come up in a row of songs, music and stuff I played through the night. I would put up affirmations. And affirmations are very touchy, but they can reprogram the brain. But it's best even when you're sleeping, so you don't analyze it. If you analyze it, it won't go from your conscious to your subconscious. You don't want to analyze it, you just want it to come in. Subliminal, it's like subliminal almost. The thing to remember about affirmations, you can't say, I am not going to be sick, because the brain hears sick. Yeah, it doesn't understand these little words you put in between and stuff like that. You say, the way it should be said is, I am always healthy. It should always be present tense, as if it exists already. And you just got to get the brain to, I find like letting it on overnight, sometime it'll come in between the stuff that I have playing. I like to sleep whenever I get to sleep. I like to have certain kinds of music, usually, and we'll get into this sometime. I guess we can touch on it. Everything is energy. Everything anybody sees is energy. And the base thing of energy, the most lowest content, is sound, because it's energy. Everything is like Tesla said way back. Everything is energy, vibration, and frequency. It's energy. What you have is energy vibrating at a certain frequency. That's everything. There are certain frequencies, and you can look them up on like YouTube or whatever your favorite thing is. You'll see certain things. I put up YouTube, I'll put 528. There's certain numbers where the frequency is really a helpful frequency. I remember I had a bet, and I'm skeptical of everything. I have to try that. But I remember having this back pain at one time. And I found that, well, for back pain, it's 174 hertz, okay? So, and I mixed it with 528, but it was 174. And it takes away pain. It was unbelievable. A couple hours later, my back was fine. And you can feel the vibrations. Now, you can't use headphones, right? I use speakers. And you can feel the vibrations. But the real important frequencies are like 174, 528, and 432 are very important because that's what the human body is vibrating at. There's certain frequencies, folks. You have frequencies that it likes. Your body likes 432 and it likes 528 a lot. And there's different things for different things. They get chakras. I'm not going to get into all that kinds of stuff. But there are certain frequencies that can really change your mood. And you can put in the different frequencies. Sometimes it pays to put the chakra, chakra, in, because then they'll list all the different frequencies under that. But there's, I find 174 is great, 255. All my instruments are tuned to 432, not 440. It just doesn't sound like it would be a lot, but your body likes 432, and it's actually very healthy to play the guitar at 432 because the vibrations from the guitar are going through you.
It's super. I mean, it sounds totally different to me. I feel it way more, and there's just something about it that just feels right to me about that frequency 432.
I just don't know why it was changed because it originally was 432. And somebody made it 440. They said Hitler did it because it puts an edge on you. So I don't know. But 432 feels really good. And you could find different recordings that you're used to listening to that they put down to 432. I saw a bunch of songs from Muse, M-U-S-C. It's one of my favorite groups, I admit it. And on Muse, they had a bunch of their songs tuned to 432. Now, to me, that sounds a little strange. You got to actually, instead of lowering it down, from 440 to each instrument should be tuned to it. But my piano, the tuner I done 432,
Yeah, 432 is cool. It's just every major plugin there, everything on Pro Tools and all the stuff that I use is all automatically tuned to 440. So it's almost like
you can't change it. There's no way to change it. Ask somebody.
There is a way to change it. It's just always that you have to take an extra step or two to be able to get it to where you want. And
well, you don't have to do everything to it. Why don't you try it with a couple instruments, but not other instruments? Try it with an effect. Try to, see what happens. That's how I learned engineering and producing a lot, is just experiment, see if it works. It's just like with the 432. I tried it out. Excuse me. I tried it out to see if it was what they said, and it felt good, so I kept it.
Yeah, I do enjoy 32. It's just something that it's the strangest thing ever for anybody that has never actually played in that frequency. But long story short, it just makes you feel good, and there's nothing bad about it, and you'll actually really enjoy it.
Well, my guitar tuning little gadget lets you set it to what you want. I set it at 432. That's all.
Likewise, I just started setting it at 432 not too long ago. Just trying to do some different stuff, and I mean everything else is basically the normal or whatever the normal is, but trying to do something different with music.
Yeah, that's my whole thing. I wish people would stop trying to be somebody they ain't. Yeah, you can get bits and pieces from different things and different things you hear and stuff. I'm sure we're all combinations, or all musicians are combinations of different parts of music that affected them at some time. I mean, I'm affected by all things. The one common denominator, I like music to be haunting, that it grabs you. Because I look at it this way. First of all, I like it. It feels good. But if let's say a record exec is listening to 50 songs a day, who knows, and you want something that's going to grab them and stay with them, that they go home and they keep hearing and feeling. And the funny part is the easiest way to be haunting is keep it simple. Really keep it simple. It's just, it works better that way. And I like chord changes that a lot of people, I use more than most people.
Me too. That's why how me and you get along musically very well, because we both have that European sound, as they say, or I say the British sound, because that's how I mix stylistically more in that direction, because I'm more aggressive with my stuff. But
By the way, what's really interesting talking about the European and British and stuff is that if you notice the Beatles and them, a lot of them were influenced by certain people and the kinds of music like ska, different things, whatever. But the point is that most of the music that Europe likes is on the East Coast and South. They don't like the West Coast sound. It's too polished to them. And I've heard this through the years. That's why I'm in Philly. A lot of Philadelphia major artists, that were in Philly, they go over to Europe. They love them over there. They like the East Coast kind of rough-edged. It's got a rougher edge to it.
Yeah, it's got a different vibe. It's more
There's this thing called being too perfect. I could talk about engineers I've had who there's one guy I used a lot. I do like him, but you learn people. And what he would do, after we recorded stuff, he'd make a rough mix. I always made sure I had a copy of that rough mix. That was always his best mix. After that, he'd start tinkering at little things and stuff like that. And it sounded cool, but I felt the rough mix, what I call rough mix. I mean, it was still a really damn good mix. But when you tinker with stuff, I mean, there's too perfect. And by the way, there are people with any project, with any song, with anything, they want perfect, and there's no such thing as perfect. Once it feels right. Yeah, does it take you to another, what I always call another dimension, basically? It just grabs you, it takes you another dimension, another space and time. It just grabs you. Music does that. If it's a dance song, it makes you want to get up and dance. It's, movement. I know my body reacts to this stuff, and I don't even think about it. When I'm going to hear a song, I sit back. I just want to feel it. I don't want to, if I start going like this, I mean, something changed it shouldn't have, or it's boring or whatever. But if it's done right and I'm just feeling it, I notice my feet start moving and my head starts moving. I have no control. It just, when it's right, both my head and feet are moving around. And it just grabs me, and that's how my body reacts. I know, okay, this is cool. This is a good story. Funny, true story. I had this cat named Tal, T-A-L. And I would be up here in my office, and he liked to come up and be here a lot. And I would start playing my guitar, and he would get low and slither out of here like it's horrible or something. And he'd go down the stairs, and that was always, he would do that all the time. I'd go, oh, my cat doesn't like my music and stuff. So one day, I just started really getting into a song and really putting some heart into it. And the cat is staring at me.
Wow.
He's not moving.
Wow.
He was totally enhanced like this. It was like, you okay, Tal? He's just staring. And if you watch it, folks, if you go to his shows, by the way, so he died last year, but shame. But he was 18, and he lived pretty good. No, 20, I'm sorry. He lived pretty good. So, but I learned a lesson that when I'm just playing around and stuff, he left. He wanted me to feel it. And if I felt it, he was glued, sitting there watching. And this is a thing when you go to a club, any kind of venue, if you want to see if the artist is communicating, if they're communicating, the audience is like this. They can't take their eyes away. And if the person is thinking about himself, the date they're going to have later, can I hit this note? Can I remember the word? If they're thinking instead of feeling, you'll notice the audience talking to each other. It's funny. You go to any bar, club, venue, whatever you want to call it. And it's the truth. So I learned from the Tal, okay, I'm not going to screw around on the guitar anymore. If I'm going to play it, I'm going to get into it, and he was my toughest critic. But I notice I'm like that with everybody else, but it's hard to do it for yourself. I don't know, I'm just pick up a guitar.
It is very hard to do it for yourself. That's why sometimes you just need somebody else to do it for you, or to, like, for me, for instance, I write a lot of music, but when it comes to my personal stuff, it's almost better for somebody else to mix it, which I would really never let anybody do that. I would love for them to, but it's just I need to make sure my stuff sounds a certain way, and
Yeah, but what I would do, the answer to that, I've done it all my life. I don't like to produce myself because I don't think it's good. But I co-produce it, and I have veto power. Okay, if they try something and no, it doesn't work. But if hey, they might come up with a good idea I didn't think of because I'm too emotionally involved with my music, and that's why it's good to have an outside person you can trust, not friends and relatives, folks, unless they're the president of Atlantic Records or something. But you want people you can trust, like people in the industry that are somewhat professional, at least, not friends and relatives. I just put your heart into it and have fun. Okay, yeah, I know we're way over what we're supposed to be doing. I don't know. So I'm going to say this is Professor Pooch. Don't forget to check us out. We did take Christmas Day off if you find a missing one. Somewhere along the line, the 25th of December, we did not place something up there. But there's 20 episodes up there. You can go to professorpooch.com and click on the big picture with Life in the Music Business on it. It'll take you right to the page with all the direct links. And you can see us in video at YouTube, and everything else is audio every place else. So please check us out. And remember, please, just like you should check anybody out you're doing business with or legal or anything like that. Check me out. You should go to professorpooch.com and check me out. Make sure I am who I am, and what I'm saying. You're welcome. There's a free library in there with lots of articles: how to start a record company, how to license music, TV, and film. Blah, 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 blah. It's a lot of stuff. Most of the stuff I do is in text and audio, including my complete books and courses set. It's a whole college music business education in simple language covering the creative, business, and legal. It's all somewheres in the site, and there's plenty to do. Or come to our facebook.com/Poochcast, capital P, lowercase OOCH, capital CAST. It's one word, Poochcast. And it's a very busy page talking about stuff we're talking about on the show. And I post at least 3 things a day on it. Hey, except Christmas, I posted 1. But normally I'm there all the time. I post and I check out, and I'm having great conversations. Please ask questions. You can always ask us if you want us to cover a particular topic. Just email ask, like ASK, like asking a question, ask@professorpooch.com. So I'm going to say, and I'll let BACEFACE end it after I say, take care and tune in for the next episode. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. Tune in for the next episode.